Hello and welcome to another episode of Exploring Standards. This is very exciting. It is our first official episode of Season 2. So in October 2022, we launched Exploring Standards Season 1 and we wrapped that up in December of 2023. We've had a slight gap in between to get ourselves realigned and resorted, and we are back now with Season 2. And I'm very happy to welcome Rob back onto the podcast today. Rob, how are you?
Hi, Jess. Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. Obviously, if you've not heard the podcast before, Rob has been on a couple of episodes, so you can check them out on Season 1. And this episode, we thought it'd be great to start with kind of rounding up the year of 2023 for Assent, and also then looking forward of what's happening in 2024. And we did have a lot of exciting stuff go on last year. So, Rob, do you want to start us off with kind of looking back at 2023 for us, please?
Oh, yeah, of course. Well, yeah, you're right, Jess. We did have lots of exciting stuff happening for clients, as well as building our business at Assent. In terms of the clients, I think the travel risk management standard is a big thing that we worked on. A relatively new standard, ISO 31030, based on the risk management standards, but specific to travel risk. Still very excited about that one. It's a guideline standard, so not quite as fast for people to adopt as the requirement standards are, because they tend to get certified, whereas this one isn't. But we have had some positive feedback already on that one, working with some clients, and of course you've got the another podcast that we run with Bex on that. So I think that was the big new thing last year as far as clients are concerned. Of course, ISO 27001 that had an update in 2022, didn't it? So a lot of our time last year was spent helping clients transition to that new standard there. And of course, that's still a very popular standard, along with 9001, 14 and 45001. So they're still our biggest standards. I guess the other one to mention from a client perspective is the market research standard. We had an increase in work for that standard this year. So that covers market research, opinion, polling, stuff like that. Quite a specialist standard, but that is a certified standard, and there is a UCAS scheme for that one. So it's really good to bring some clients through that process. And we learned a lot more about that standard by taking on more jobs and working with the cert bodies. You never really fully understand something until you live it, do you? So we're definitely in a place for that. So that's ISO 20252. If there's any market research companies out there, very good standard, sets them apart. So yeah, from a client perspective, we carried on exploring new standards, as the podcast suggests. And then what can we say internally? We had a few internal projects, didn't we, Jess, last year?
Yeah, we did, yeah.
So last year we did some work on our carbon tracking for our fee days. Obviously, carbon footprint and managing your carbon footprint is a really important thing. And many more organisations are doing that, small and medium organisations as well as large ones. They're starting to come through the supply chain as a requirement. So we wanted to make sure that we were ahead of that and practicing what we preach, basically, doing it for ourselves. It took some time to get right, and it took a lot of thinking and a lot of people in the business thinking about it, because at this stage, the carbon footprint, carbon calculations side of things, there's no real standard way of doing it. There's lots of different schemes, lots of different approaches, and it's tricky to get something that really means something on the page that has value. So in the end, to give a bit of background, and there's some blogs on our website about it, but we used our contract tracking tool, because that's where all of our days are registered, all the work that we do for clients. And we assigned a carbon value to each of those days in terms of the travel and the work on site, and even working from home has a carbon measure. And we use the UK government conversion factors to calculate all of that. And then on top of that, we built a dashboard so that we can analyse that data and see how we're performing, and carry that data through to our carbon offsetting which we pay for trees to be planted and some other things, renewable power facilities and that kind of thing, through a recognised scheme. So it's not perfect, but it's a good start.
Ecology, I believe it's called.
Ecology, yeah, absolutely. So you can go on and
Yeah.
see our forest on there. So yeah, as I say, it's not perfect, but it's a good start. We're going to monitor and continue to try and improve how we do that.
That's fantastic to hear, and that's going to definitely push through then into 2024, which is obviously what we're looking forward to as well. Any other projects internally that we've got going on? I remember we did also the subscription hub over on our Resilify.io platform. Do you want to tell us a bit more about our subscription hub?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you worked very hard on that, Jess. So thank you for leading that project. Yeah, Resilify.io is a website platform, and we built this as more of a self-service platform for kind of smaller businesses, people that might not have the time or the resources to engage a consultant, in the way that we would normally work. So we put lots of resources on there. And as you say, last year we added to that by building subscriptions for key services that people use us for. So, for example, with health and safety, you need access to competent health and safety advice. Many organisations, as well as Assent, provide that as a monthly sort of subscription. So our health and safety consultants stay engaged with the organisation, understand where their risks are, what they might need help with, and then they're available then for any support that the client might need. So if they have an incident or if there's a new piece of legislation, then they might come back to us for that. So the subscription hub is a really easy way for organisations to sign up to that service with us online. They get a certificate of service, so something that they can put into tenders with a named person on that. And that goes into our online system where those certificates can be validated. So anyone that you give that certificate to can see that the organisation is covered by this competent person support. And once they sign up, we do a proper onboarding. So it's not just a pay it and forget it type service. We onboard them. We make sure we understand who they are and where their risks are, and make sure we're providing value. But it's just a really easy way for companies to get started on that journey through the Resilify platform. So that was the health and safety one. We also have a similar thing for data protection with the data protection officer, which again could be outsourced for companies that handle normally large volumes of personal information or very sensitive personal information like healthcare data or political data or that kind of thing. And again, it just gives them access to our experts at Assent on a monthly subscription rather than traditionally where we might do a project or a bigger sort of program. So hopefully that sort of opens up the market to smaller companies to get involved with this stuff.
Yeah, fantastic. And we also have the Risk Assist help desk as well, where people can sign up and get just general ISO support as well on the subscription hub. So that's fantastic. Any other projects that we had in 2023?
Well, the only other thing that I can think of is we did some work on the legal register. So in 2023, we again through the Resilify.io platform, we improved access to the legal compliance data that we've got. So many of the ISO standards require you to identify applicable legislation and then document your approach to meeting that. So there's a requirement for that within ISO 27001 for information security. It also goes across health and safety, of course, because there's lots of legislation around that. And ISO 14001 for environmental. That's got a compliance piece in it. So we've always collected this information, these laws, mostly in the UK, but also elsewhere as well. And we've always done our monthly newsletter, so which has been free. So clients and non-clients can subscribe to that, and they get access to the newsletter every month, but also they can download a copy of the legal register in an Excel form. What we did last year was take all of that Excel data and put it online on Resilify and made it searchable by industry by the ISO standard that it might apply to. So it's not perfect again, and it's not an easy win for someone, but it just gives them a head start because they can filter down a very, very long list into just a long list, and then they can start to go through that list and work out what's applicable. And of course, hopefully, our Assent consultants they'll engage us to come and help them with that, but they don't have to. It's all available online. So if they want to do it themselves, then they can.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. We had lots of exciting stuff go on in 2023, which has been brilliant. But now let's look ahead to 2024. So within Assent, what have we got going on in 2024?
Yeah, it's always interesting, isn't it? When I look back at previous years and the January of previous years and what we thought was going to happen, it doesn't always pan out that way. You don't know what's coming. But I think the big thing in 2024 is going to be AI, artificial intelligence, and particularly the new ISO standard for that, ISO 42001. So that's a management system for managing use of AI. And it's applicable to all organisations, whether they build an AI tool or whether they're just using AI within their organisation. And really, it's designed to manage those risks and to manage the impact of AI. And there's some requirements in there to assess the impact and assess the risks around it, as well as the opportunities. So, as with any new standard, until it's out in the wild, you don't really know if it's going to be adopted by organisations or not. So that's what we're waiting to see. But I think this shows good signs because, firstly, it's a management system standard. So it's very familiar. If you've done 9001 or 27001, this standard for AI 42001 fits right in. So it's going to be much easier for people to understand and to implement. So that's a good sign. And also, being a requirement standard, it will be something that you can certify to. And in the UK, UCAS has already started a pilot scheme with some certification bodies to start looking at that. So looking at how it would be certified and what competence the auditors need. And that always helps standards gain traction and become adopted if there's a certification scheme. So we're fairly optimistic about that. Of course, we need to make sure we're competent. We do have a meeting coming up in early February where all of our consultants have been invited to that meeting, and we're going to walk through the standards clause by clause, discuss it, try and understand what the requirements are, what documentation you might need to support that, trying to understand how what's written on the page is going to work in the real world, because there is a big difference. And once we've done that, we're really keen to speak to early adopters. So anyone that's using AI in their organisation, we'd really love to talk to those people and work with them to implement this standard. And of course, as this is a learning exercise for us, I'm sure there'll be some very good discounts that we would give in our time if we help each other out on that. So yeah, I think AI for sure in 2024. It's going to be a big
It's going to be really big. Yeah, no, I completely agree. What else are we looking forward to in 2024 then?
Well, I think the transition to the new 27001 standard for information security, that is ongoing.
Yes.
The absolute deadline is October 25, but really people need to be moving across to this sooner rather than later, particularly once their current certificates are up for renewal. That's really a good time to move. So I think there's going to be more of those in 2024. We've done lots already last year. I think that's going to continue. So looking forward to that one.
Yeah, we've got a couple of podcasts that we've released on season 1 about transitioning to the new standard. We'll also we'll also have a new podcast coming out in this season as well to discuss it in further detail. So if you're looking for information, please check out those podcasts.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else are we looking forward to in 2024 then?
Well, as a business, one of our key projects early on in the year is to work on our narrators brand and our training offering. So as you might know, we have some as our listeners might know, we've got some online training available, some free e-learning courses on digital.larators.com. We've had that up there for some time to help organisations get just the basics of what the standards are about, and it's a nice, gentle introduction. So we've got that in place already, but we really want to make sure that for our clients, really anyone that contacts us, that we have a good selection of training options, not just e-learning, but that we can advise them where to go for the right level of training, and also the right quality of training, because there's lots out there at the moment, and lots of it's very good, but there are particular accredited courses that people might be better suited for, depending on what they're trying to get out of the course. So I know, Jess, you're working hard on the Larators website and engaging with training providers, including certification bodies that we work with now, many different ones, but other organisations as well.
Yeah, so we're hoping to launch this early this year, as you said. And yeah, we're engaging with lots of different training providers, trying to give you guys a comprehensive list of training providers of ISO. And we have lots of different courses on there that you can check out. And so once that's live, yeah, we'll absolutely let you know. It's a very exciting project.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Thank you, Rob. There's lots of exciting projects that we've got in the pipeline, which is really exciting. In terms of the podcast, we have lots of episodes coming out this year. Just some topics that we are looking into is how to make ISO more accessible for clients. We're looking at the cyber physical infrastructure. We have an episode of that coming out, which is really exciting. We are looking at conflict of interest and how we manage that within Assent. We have a podcast on moving certification bodies, because I know that's an inquiry that comes up quite a lot from our clients. We're going to be doing an episode on that. We're also doing an episode with Sam Candy about responsible futures, looking at how businesses can be more socially responsible. So that's really exciting. So we've got lots and lots of content coming up on the podcast this year. So please make sure you subscribe and stay tuned so you can check us out. And Rob, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I really appreciate it. It's been wonderful listening to everything we've had sort of previously going on and what's coming up. It's been really exciting. As always, make sure you rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. It really, really helps. And stay tuned, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks with another episode.